On Thursday, 30th of November, delegation from the government of Germany arrived in Mala to meet Tigray Interim Administration President Getachew Reda.
Oh, okay. Good morning. Good morning. Right, okay. Good morning. Right. How come Stephen is not here?
President Getachew welcomed the delegation at his office and acknowledged the commitment from the government of Germany to the implementation of the Pretoria Agreement.
I just would like to say thank you for gracing us with your presence, and I have to say again and again that we've been very happy with the support of the German government in ensuring the implementation, the fullest possible implementation of Pretoria Agreement. The first official engagement I had immediately after I took over as head of interim administration was to see your chancellor in Addis Ababa. And I can see how committed he was to the implementation of the agreement. Of course, he arranged that meeting despite very strong opposition by half of the federal government in Addis Ababa, but I think with the support of the Prime Minister, I was able to make it to that meeting, and it was a good meeting. So we have achieved a number of things with regard to the implementation of the Pretoria Agreement, but still we have also a long way to go before we can say that every letter and spirit of the Pretoria Agreement is fully implemented. We still have IDPs, a million plus IDPs living in very horrible conditions. The interim administration has yet to extend its reach over Western Tigray, Southern Tigray. This is part of the Pretoria Agreement. There are a number of issues that are being raised. We've been working closely with the federal government, whatever its intentions. The federal government does not necessarily have views that are congruent with us with regard to the interpretation of Pretoria itself. But we'll continue to engage the federal government as partners on the agreement. It's only with the support and, of course, with the collaboration of the federal government that we can fully achieve the implementation of Pretoria. You have issues with regard to demobilization and disarmament and reintegration. The Ethiopian government has hardly discharged its part of the responsibility when it comes to, disarming. The most important focus for many people, including Westerners, is the first D in the DDR process. But there is another D, and the most problematic one is the R part, reintegration. And it requires resources. As we speak, we have 260,000 combatants who need to be fed and clothed, and without any support whatsoever from outside world. What the interim administration is trying to do is to take resources away from recovery and rehabilitation efforts, plus even siphoning of resources from what should otherwise be meant for sustaining civil service. And we are spending it on the maintenance and sustenance of the combatants. And this is an area where we still face a very significant problem.
Getachew highlighted that the humanitarian situation in Tigray continues to be dire. Getachew also appreciated the government of Germany for its support on the agricultural sector. He also called upon them to extend their support in rehabilitation and recovery programs in Tigray.
Especially in light of the fact that humanitarian aid has been paused for the last 9 months. The situation on the ground is very horrible. And yet, our commitment to the fullest implementation of Pretoria remains intact. But I cannot be sure if that's going to continue forever. Having said that, I know your government has been coordinating with other governments in supporting the interim administration get back on its feet again. Tigray, what Tigray saw is not just the destruction of infrastructure, but more importantly, the sub-state structure itself has been has all been destroyed, all but been destroyed. So our capacity to carry out projects has significantly been affected, but it wouldn't take us long to get back on our feet again, in light of the fact that our people's resilience is quite phenomenal, and of course with the right support, with the right mix of support, we'll be able to address those challenges. And agriculture has been an area which has been significantly affected. The war didn't only make it difficult for farmers to till their land, but there was a deliberate effort, especially by the Eritreans and of course element of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, not just to employ literally scorched earth plant tactics, but they were also involved in destroying farm implements as well. So coupled with the fact that now significant part of Tigray still is under a very serious drought, the people of Tigray are staring the specter of famine once again. It's mostly man-made because the war has completely destroyed livelihoods and the lives of people. And your support in this regard, I know Iyasu and his offices have been the beneficiaries of this largesse of the German government. But we need all the support in the world, not only in agriculture, but other areas of recovery and rehabilitation efforts that we need to undertake. Sexual-based violence was prevalent, and I know the German support in highlighting the human rights abuse that happened in this part of the country was also quite significant, and we hope and expect that to continue. Well, I was complaining to your ambassador that they were responsible for defunding ICRI, which was the International Committee for Human Rights in Ethiopia, human rights investigation in Ethiopia. But the fact that they still continue to be involved in human rights protection efforts is quite commendable. So your involvement has been very, very critical, and we hope and expect that involvement to continue, especially with regard to the economic recovery and rehabilitation, and then of course reconstruction efforts that we need to undertake. And with the right mix of support, I have every reason to believe that our resilient people will be in a position to get back on their feet again. Just to give you a highlight of what we feel has been the role of the German government and the kind of support we need in order for our people to quickly recover from the kind of totalized destruction they have suffered as a result of this genocidal war.
The delegation led by Director for Eastern, Central and Southern Africa in Germany Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, Philippe Neal, arrived at the President's office to talk on different issues, including the progress on the implementation of the Pretoria Agreement. Philippe stressed on the need not to go back to clashes and building on peace.
In supporting you to go ahead actually on the peace process and fully implementing Pretoria, negotiating further open steps, not going back to the arms, but really building on the good progress that has been done so far and trying to take on further solutions by negotiation. Actually, we came here mainly as well to listen to you and to learn, to see what we can do from the outside, how we can support the federal government, but also the interim government, how we can support NGOs and other actors in sustainable development.
According to Philippe Neal, the delegation is in Ethiopia to discuss new cooperation program with the Ethiopian government. Besides discussing the implementation of the peace accord, they spoke with Finance Ministry and Agriculture Minister in Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa.
We are a delegation from Germany that has come to Ethiopia to negotiate development cooperation programs. And actually we have also come to Tigray to see how the peace process goes. And we've just talked to His Excellency Getachew Reda on many issues like building peace, reconstruct, negotiate peacefully, further on the implementation of the Pretoria Agreement and so on.
The Special Assistant to the President Goitom Tatek says the delegation arrives in Mekelle to also share Germany's experience in reconstruction of their country after the Second World War.
So massive amount of money and projects and programs are required to recover and reconstruct Tigray. And we have a lot to learn from Germany in reconstruction, how it reconstructed Germany after the mother of the Second World War. Then we have a lot to learn from the German. That's why they were sharing as well their experience, how to recover and reconstruct.
As to him, President Getachew told the delegation that the international community, including the government of Germany, should work to see the full implementation of the Pretoria Agreement, including the withdrawal of foreign forces from Tigray.
Still, our people are suffering in those parts under the control of the foreign forces. And the international community is expected, as it was part of the agreement as well, to pressurize the federal government to do its responsibilities in seeing this Pretoria Agreement fully implemented.